We'll now move on to neuroscience, behavioral neuroscience.
Hello.
Hi, Manru. Can you state your name, your pronouns, as well as your accessibility needs?
Sure. So my name is Manroop. I'm the representative for Behavioral Neuroscience Student Society, and my preferred pronouns are she or her, and all my accessible needs have been met. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to chemistry.
Hello, my name is Michelle. I go by the pronouns of she, her, hers, and my access needs have been met.
Thank you, Michelle. Cognitive science.
Roland Poe from Cognitive Science. He, him, his. Access needs are currently being met.
Thank you. Computer science. Oh, that's right. Ryan sent in his regrets. Criminology. All right, perfect. Economics. So representative from economics here. No, this position is now vacant. Education. Is the representative from education present?
Sorry, Zaid, I'm here. My phone was just glitching on me there.
No problem. Can you please state your name, your pronouns, and your accessibility needs?
Yes, name is Adrian. My pronouns are she, her, and all my needs are currently being met.
Thank you, Adrian. Engineering. Is the representative from engineering present?
Hi, Alvin. My pronouns are he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. English.
Hi, my name is Liz. My pronouns are she, her, and my access needs are met.
Thank you, Liz. Environmental science.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. My pronouns are she, her. Accessibility.
Sorry, you're cutting out there a bit.
Okay. My name is Caitlin. Pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah, thanks.
Nicholas, sorry about that. I think I might skip you over there. So I marked you as present. French. Is the representative from French present? No. Gender, sexuality, and women's studies. Is the GSW representative present?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. My name's Alicia Farner. She, her, hers are my pronouns, and all my access needs are met. Sorry for being late.
Yeah, no problem. Geography.
Hi, I'm Evangeline. She, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Global Asia Studies. Is the representative from Global Asia Studies present? No. History.
Hello, Alan. He, him, all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Alan. Humanities.
Hi, my name is Sarah. She, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Sarah. Interactive arts and technology.
Hi, I'm Brian. He, him, his, all my access needs have been met.
Thank you, Brian. International studies.
Hi guys, my name is Aaliyah. My preferred pronouns are she and her, and all my access needs have been met.
Thank you. Labor studies. Is the labor studies representative here? No. Linguistics?
Hi, I'm Allie. I go by she, her, and my access needs are met.
Thank you, Allie. Math? Is the math representative present? Mechatronics System Engineering?
Hi, my name is Kimia. My pronouns are she, her. My accessibility needs are met.
Thank you, Kimia. MBB, Molecular Biology and Biochemistry?
Hi, my name is Kyle. He, him. All my needs are met.
Thank you, Kyle. Operations Research? Is the Operations Research representative present? Philosophy?
Hi, my name is Tony. He, him, his, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Tony. Physics?
Hi, my name is Manuel. I'm the physics rep. My pronouns are he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Manuel. Political Science?
Hi, everyone. My name is Helen. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Helen. Psychology? Is the representative from psychology present? Position is also vacant. Science, that is myself. Society of Arts and Social Sciences? Thank you. Sociology and Anthropology?
Hi, I'm Kayla. Pronoun she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Kayla. Software Systems?
Hi, my name is Quinn Spielka. All my access needs are met and I use male pronouns.
Thank you, Quince. Statistics and Actuarial Science? Thank you. World Literature?
Hi, my name is Kishtal. Pronouns her, and all my access needs have been met.
Thank you. We're now on to our constituency group representatives, Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance.
My name is Serena. My pronouns are she, hers. And sorry, I heard an echo. I just might ask for clarification if I can't read the captions quick enough.
All right, thank you. Out on Campus Collective.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Victor. My pronouns are he, him, his. My access needs are met, but I do have to go at 5:30.
No problem. It's Residence Hall Association representative here. It's the RHA rep here. This position has been vacated. Student Athletic Advisory Committee.
Hi there, I'm Ryan. My pronouns are he, him, and his. My access needs are met, but I also have to leave at 5:30.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Women's Center Collective. Is a representative from the Women's Center Collective present? This position is also vacant. Students of Caribbean and African ancestry. Is the SOCA representative present? We'll now move on to the Board of Directors. President present.
Hi everyone, my name is Asab. My pronouns are she and her, and all my access needs have been met.
Thank you, Asab. External Relations. No. VP Finance.
Hi, it's Corbett. Pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, Corbett. VP Student Services is not present. He sent me his regrets. Student Life.
Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer, she, her pronouns, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Jennifer. VP University Relations.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabe. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my access needs are met. Zay, just for your information, I'm going to fill in for Samad during the reports of the executives.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Are either of our at-large representatives present?
Balkis is here at large.
All right. Thank you, Balkis. Do we have any faculty representatives present?
Oh, I'm also here. Whom, he, him, his. I like representative.
Sorry about that. Thank you. And faculty representatives, I see Wei-chan.
Hi, my name is Richard, pronouns he, him, his. My accessibility needs are met.
Great, thank you. Any other faculty representatives? Don't believe so. Moving on to society staff. Is the executive assistant present? No, I don't believe so. We do have our transition manager here present. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Ade. Yes, my name is Lawrence. Pronouns are he, him, his, and my access needs are met.
Thank you, Lawrence. And I don't believe we have an administrative assistant present due to turnover. All right, we'll now move on to ratification of regrets. Be it resolved to ratify regrets from Sharon Kim and Ryan Van Sickle. Does anyone move this motion?
Software Systems moves this motion.
Thank you, Software Systems. Does anyone second?
Sociology seconds.
Sociology seconds. Seeking unanimous. Okay, seeing no discussion, we'll now move on to voting on this. Seeking unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries. We'll now move on to adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Or does anyone move?
Software Systems moves the adoption of the agenda.
Software System moves. Does anyone second?
PSSU seconds.
Is there any discussion? I'd like to move to amend the agenda to include the discussion item, police presence on campus. Does anyone second?
Can you repeat that?
I'm moving to amend the agenda to include the discussion item, police presence on campus. Would
Software
anyone like
Systems
to second? Software System seconds. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, we'll now move to vote. Seeking unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this amendment carries. We're now back to the main motion. Be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll now move to vote. Seeking unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone. Seeing no objections, this motion carries. We would normally be on to matters arising from the minutes, but no minutes are available to file this time as we do not have an admin assistant to compile last meeting's minutes. We will review and approve them next meeting. We're now on to reports from the liaisons. Ryan is absent today. Kayla, do you have anything prepared regarding updates from the last board meeting? Kayla? All right, we will then just move on to a report from our board liaison, Jennifer, VP Student Life.
Okay, so I think everyone got the file with all my notes. I linked it in the chat again in case you didn't, but I'll just quickly read over all of this, but you can always just refer back to this document for more detail. So basically, we had some motions. Our SFSS transition manager, Lawrence, was appointed as a signing officer and a staff liaison officer. There were some motions about the student union building space. I think the main difference is we're going to be allocating a space for Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance. And you can see all the diagrams here in this document that I have. And there were a bunch of council board committee appointments and student at-large committee appointments. There was also an administrative assistant hiring committee, and our environment rep was appointed to this committee. And for discussion items, I gave an update about the events committee. We have a few projects. Actually, right now, there's the peak frequency Instagram live concert on SFSS_events Instagram. And every first Monday of the month, we host a gift card giveaway. This week is also the SFU Esports, SFU Anime, and SFSS events game night. I think it's called Game Fest or something. We are also planning a photography self-portrait workshop coming up in August. And we also had financial literacy workshops, and those happened a few weeks ago. So administrative restructuring update, we said goodbye to our executive director, general manager, and administrative services manager. And then we talked about the student town hall. So huge shout out to our at-large Balkis for basically organizing this. There were around 300 people who logged into Slido, so it was really great to see this engagement from students. We also allocated offices in the new student union building. Then we talked about exam invigilation. All the details are on this document. We also talked about the COVID-19 survey and thinking of doing another one soon. Then we talked about the UPass. I added some extra details because at the time of the meeting, the survey wasn't over yet, but then I added details after the survey was done. So basically, more people were in favor of reinstating the UPass than people who wanted to continue suspending it. And it's ultimately cheaper for students to pay for the UPass because they'd only be out like $50 a month than for students who need transport to pay for like a transport card thing, because that would be around $200 a month. And also we had to consider that people on campus or residents are basically stuck up there without a UPass, and they would have to keep paying every time they want to leave campus. And we're also thinking of setting up some sort of reimbursement thing for people who don't want to pay. But we're looking into that with SFU right now. Then we discussed police presence on campus because sometimes the RCMP comes up to campus for career and recruitment, and we need to have some sort of policy put in place or have a good reason to stop having RCMP recruiters on campus. And it was suggested we could work with career services and campus safety services to work on this. And that's all for now.
Thank you, Jennifer. We'll now move on to our reports from the board executive directors, starting with the president.
Thank you, Zaid, and I will try to keep it quick. So a lot of the projects that I did speak about at the last council meeting are ongoing. Jennifer did just touch on some of the pieces regarding academic advocacy. So that is us connecting with the ombudsperson and connecting with instructors who are essentially found to be in violation of SFU policies. For instance, there's been a recent situation that we're trying to rectify in which an instructor actually just changed the exam dates without having the consent of the students in the course, which is not allowed by SFU policy. That's ongoing. Something else that we've been working on is working closely with Student Care, our health and dental provider, to see what solutions we can come up with for students who are not living in the Metro Vancouver area, who typically would be eligible for the health and dental plan, but may not need to use it. Another big thing that we've been working through is our administrative restructuring, which we've spoken about a couple of times at council and have essentially touched on at every board meeting. Jennifer's correct to say that at the last board meeting, we did say goodbye to 3 of the managers that we did have. The last 2 essentially, so the 5 folks who were impacted by the administrative restructuring, have been released on amicable terms with very generous, essentially, severance packages and a lot of support moving forward. So things are going quite well. We're starting to get into the hiring process of the 2 new management positions, who will be very different in that they will work very closely to the board and essentially be answerable to the board. And when they're answerable to the board, essentially answerable to council and the membership as well. So we're hoping to see a lot more actual board involvement in organizational things. which over the last few weeks, as we've started to delve into these areas where we've never really been involved, have learned that a lot of them are very student facing and are very, very relevant to the board. So the last couple things that I wanted to touch on is that our faculty reps are doing a lot of work working within their faculties. Our Arts and Social Sciences rep, for instance, has been working on some different panels with FAST. There has been some effort to try to introduce some anti-racism coursework into the professional development program within the Faculty of Education and hopefully in other faculties as well around SFU. And I will let the other VPs kind of touch on their own particular projects. I don't want to take up their time. So thank you, everyone. And I hope that you all have a good meeting.
Thank you, Osab, for that. We'll now go to the VP University.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here, and I'll keep it short as well because I want to kind of leave some time for you all to go on with your meeting. But my name's Gabe. I'm the VP University Relations, and over the last month, again, as Osab said, we've kind of continued to do the same work on some of the same projects that are impacting students every day. And in the context of COVID-19 and remote learning, a large issue that students are facing right now is instructors continue to use exam invigilating and proctoring software, which is a major invasion of students' privacy and is creating a great amount of accessibility issues among our students. And we continue to bring these concerns forward wherever possible to the SFU admin, to the Senate, and all other channels available to us. And I just want to say that if you're experiencing, or any of your friends are experiencing issues with exam invigilations, please don't hesitate to contact myself, the president, or the VP Student Life, who has also been really active in this work. Our emails are there in the chat. At the end of the summer semester, so this summer semester, we will be moving forward, or we are looking to move forward with another SFSS COVID-19 survey to collect some more data on how remote learning has impacted students' lives in the context of this semester. And we're looking to also accompany that with a petition to really boost our advocacy efforts, for the demands that we're asking of SFU. And once that survey is released, I really encourage all of you to share that with all of your DSU executives and all of your friends, so that the SFSS can really get a good picture of how students are feeling right now, and so that those results are even more legitimate in the eyes of the university. Today marked the first day of a pilot project started by a working group that's working out of my UAA committee, led by our VP External, Samad Raza. And this is to provide students who are struggling, to meet their daily needs on a reduced income, the opportunity to collect some free weekly groceries in the Burnaby Mountain area. And this happened today in Convo Mall, and we'll continue to do this every Wednesday, every week until November. And in other news, on the topic of fighting racism on campus, the president and I have been working toward banning our CMP recruitment on campus for, the safety and well-being of our racialized students on campus. And we've begun conversations around this with the university and continue to push these discussions forward throughout the summer term, as well as bringing them, concerns around the athletics name to the administration wherever possible. And also, many of our board members have signed on to the letter that was written by council, which was amazing, by the way. Moreover, in late June, kind of one of the other projects I'm working on, it was discovered that the Freedom Square plaque and podium in Freedom Square was removed during construction and replaced with slightly different wording than before, in the form of engraving in the concrete, not the podium and plaque. So we're engaged in discussions with the university to ensure that podium and plaque are brought back, so that history of activism and radicalism can be respected. And lastly, in my role as of chair of our governance committee, which is essentially our policy and review or bylaw review committee, we adopted our annual plan, which included 4 major projects. The first of which is our ongoing governance restructuring, which also kind of touched on already, which this will kind of continue throughout the year. Second, our ongoing bylaw review, which we're hoping to approach council soon for consultation in the coming weeks. Third, review of our many policy documents, including our issues and elections policies. And fourth is implementing solid training structures for future boards so that they're well equipped to do their duties. So that's it for me, and thank you for having me and giving this update. Yeah, and of course, after this, I'm available to answer any questions via email or whenever, if you feel comfortable reaching me.
Thank you, Gabe. I believe you'll also be delivering the report for the VP External.
Yes. I shall. So Samad unfortunately has class during this time, so I will be speaking on his behalf. So his external and community affairs committee is working on actively on two projects. The first of which has been taking up a lot of his time, and it's around UPass. So in regard to UPass, most of the UPass negotiations are still ongoing. So Samad prefers not to comment on those negotiations right now, but to talk about the SFSS survey results around the UPass, it showed that 51.5% of people wanted UPass for the fall and 48.5% do not. 13% are out of the Metro Vancouver area, and according to SFU, 15% approximately will still be out of Metro Vancouver in the fall. So we're working on getting full exemption for those who are not in Metro Vancouver, and decision regarding reinstating UPass will be brought to the SFSS board soon after having some confirmation from TransLink on non-Metro Vancouver exemption. And to talk about the TMX letter, SFSS board members are working on an open letter with Justice No Pipeline, which is a working group of SFU 350 and Dogward SFU, asking Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to terminate the Trans Mountain expansion project on the grounds of Indigenous sovereignty, student safety, and safer climate. We're asking other student unions to sign on to the letter. So far, we already have McGill, Concordia, Trent, UVic, all of those have signed on. The Union of BC Indian Chief has also shown their support for the letter. So that is what I have on behalf of the VP External.
Thank you, Gabe. We'll now move on to the VP Finance, Corbett.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I basically broke down my report into four main chunks, because that's the four main projects that have taken up a lot of my time over the last 2 to 3 weeks. First one was the board development session, focused on training the board to understand our SFS finances around our budgets and our audited financial statements, to provide a foundational level of kind of financial literacy, and also understand what the board should be asking about when they look at these statements. I spent quite a bit of time with the facilitator, helping her go through our documentation and making a really solid presentation. And I've recommended that the council receive something similar. It would have to be a bit shorter and a bit more to the point, because you don't have the same amount of time for a step session as like we do. So I'll talk with the chair and vice chair to see if there's a way we can set that up. Because it would be a good idea for council to receive something similar. So before our audited financial report comes out in the next, I'm hoping the next 3 weeks or so, or at least gets back to the board in about 3 weeks. Next thing was administrative restructuring. Also talked about this. I've been working with her to finalize really terminations, double checking that equipment gets turned, release gets signed, and all that kind of stuff. The other one is working with a sub. I'm on the building committee for it, so we get updates on progress, and we're still working with the goal of being able to finish the building for the end of August. So in the meantime, I'm working with John Walsh, our building manager, and Mark Fontaine, our Build SFU general manager, on coordinating the board move and assigning staff allocations, getting feedback from staff, doing little tours of the space, and sorting out student org office moves. Additionally, I'm happy that the Finance and Audit and Service Committee, the Finance Administrative Service Committee met and talked about their annual plans, which we'll be voting on in 2 weeks at their next meeting. Our first big project is reviewing the Student Union Club and constituency group funding models. It's something I've wanted to do for years, and looking at different ways, if there's different ways we can fund student unions and clubs and constituency groups to make them more successful, be able to handle more events or do more of what you want to do. I want to work with faculty and at-large representatives, council, and the member service committee on this to get feedback from as many people as possible. And the goal is to have this done by maybe the end of September. And that's really about it for now. So want to be brief. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to, please email me or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or wherever that works for you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Corbett. VP Student Services. Oh yeah, that's Matt. Matt told me that he has an appointment today, so unfortunately he is not able to make it. He will deliver his report at our next meeting. VP Student Life, Jennifer.
Okay, I'm going to make this really quick because I want to eat my mashed potatoes. But basically, I'm going to send 3 links here. The first link is reports. You can basically look at what the entire board has done every 2 weeks. The second link is our Instagram. Please follow the events committee's Instagram. And the third one is ideas from the events committee. So basically, I'm thinking this year, while getting set up for all the committees that I chair, we could open up individual collaborations as well as DSU and club collaborations. So if you're interested in hosting an event, feel free to reach out to me. I'm very online, so any social media or my email works. I've also been working with OSUB and some SFSS staff to go over Greek life organizations. I've been in contact with one of the representatives of a professional fraternity, so we're kind of trying to sort all that out. Also, another thing about the events committee, I am hoping to host a self-portrait workshop, because I know people are kind of stuck at home and they can pick up a new hobby and they can post new pictures on Instagram. So I think I might cap the workshop registrants at 30. So you guys are getting the inside scoop. It's going to be exclusive. So follow the SFSS events committee Instagram to learn more.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, we're now on to our discussion items, starting with our council open letter follow-up. Helen, you have something to say about this?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. Can you hear me properly? Amazing. All right. So let's just talk a little bit about the open letter and where we're sitting at. So let me just pull up notes here. Okay, so recently the SFSS Council has just wrapped up our collaborations with the Student Athletics Advisory Committee, the Students of Caribbean and African, SOCA. I need to learn these acronyms better. Sorry, guys. But anyways, with SAC, SOCA, and fellow student athletic activists in writing the open letter. We have started collecting signatures since July 12th, and so far I've collected a bit over 330 signatures. So the next step is to further our outreach commitments. As council, we hold a very salient role in making sure that this letter gets out and we collect as many signatories as possible regarding protecting our student athletes and just standing in solidarity with our BIPOC community as well. So what I have stated in the email that I sent out to everyone earlier, and what I am stating now to everyone, all of our counselors, to please remember to sign this open letter. I am dropping the link in the chat right now. So make sure to please sign it. Please present this open letter at your DSU meetings as well. We are about 40 plus counselors here, plus the working groups as well. That's another portion that we can get on in terms of the signatories that we collect, and then plus our DSU members as well. That also helps to create more voices. More signatures are a medium for voices. So the more we have on signing for this open letter, the better we can have. I will also remind everyone, when you put this on the agenda for your DSU meetings, please discuss with your presidents, all your DSU members to talk about the open letter in signing it, and also inviting maybe myself, Zaid, and even our student activists as well to your meetings to discuss about what to do when signing it. We'd be happy to attend and provide more information to you as well. So please reach out to us if you'd like us to be at your DSU meetings in terms of signing the open letter. I would also like to remind board members as well. I know a majority of you have signed the open letter, but please, if you have not, do sign this open letter for the sake of continuing your tradition and platform on protecting our BIPOC communities. This is very important, and that we get this done, and that the name change be changed and removed as soon as possible. Yeah, please reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Does anyone have any questions or any comments they'd like to make? We will go with council members first. So, Serena.
I just wanted to ask if there was a deadline when we should get our constituency groups or DSUs to sign on.
Helen, you can answer that.
Okay. Yes. So thank you for bringing that up, Serena. So the plan is that we send off this open letter to the university by August 3rd. By mid-August is when Petter is going to be making a decision on what to do with the name change, and that's when the review process is starting to wrap up by that time. So right at the time when that review process is wrapping up, myself, Zaid, and all of our collaborators have decided that we send that open letter at a time where we can pressure the university most. So I would ask that you discuss this open letter and get it signed before August 3rd. And please invite us to your DSU meetings, your working group meetings before that time, so we can provide more information to you about that. Thank you again, Serena, for bringing that up, because I forgot to mention that.
All right, thank you, both of you. Wichan?
Yeah, just a short thing to that. For the DSUs, make sure you guys use your mailing list, because that's a really powerful tool for you, the DSU. So the president should have the access to the mailing list to your departments and all that. So make sure you use that to get more signatures.
All right, is there any further discussion regarding this topic? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to our next discussion item. I believe there's an item, Council's online voting procedure. Quince, you brought this item up, so you have the floor first.
Hi, yes. As many of you may have noticed, when we try and vote on a contested issue, it's not very easy to do. Most of it's a matter of muting and unmuting, with some people saying that I don't have a mic, I can't mute or unmute. Please accept my vote this way or this way. In addition, when we're having the normal votes that aren't nearly as contested, it's very difficult for someone to actively go through the process of I'm going to unmute myself and say I dissent. It's quite intimidating, and it's nearly impossible to just unmute yourself and say I'm going to abstain. As a result, I'd like to suggest that we move towards some online poll, such as the polls that can be done easily in Discord, with options for vote yes, vote no, or vote abstain. It'll let us do these contested votes much more quickly. It'll also help us in case we have some number of guests who aren't permitted to vote. It will help us avoid counting them accidentally in the voting process. I'm sure Zaid has a hard time going through this, going, oh, right, I shouldn't count Corbett, I shouldn't count Gabe. They're muted because they're not voting, not because they're directly opposing the vote. And this would get far more complex if we were trying to, say, have 10 guests here who weren't on the board. Once again, as a result, I would suggest that we move towards some other online polling method sent to the councillors ahead of the meetings that we can use to do votes instead of how we're currently doing it. That is all I have to say on the matter.
Okay, fair point, Quince. Thank you for bringing this up. Definitely, I think we could use a different system. It is a bit confusing and tedious to have to read through everyone who's muted or unmuted, especially when not everyone is unmuted at the same time, meaning I have to go through again. So we do have the option of using Discord. I am not sure if we have all members yet on the Discord. I've sent out a couple emails, but I'll make sure to check that again. Does anyone have any other ideas regarding what we could use for online voting, or any changes we could have to our procedure since we are online? Helen, you're added to the list. Would you like to speak?
Oh, no, so the 4+ signs, it just means myself agreeing to what Quince was saying.
Oh, sorry, I read your name wrong. It was actually Osab who wanted to speak.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. Yes, Osab, you have the floor.
Thank you. Sorry, my camera's off. I think that this was adopted from the board, which is a lot easier to track with only 16 board members. So I recognize that it's a little more complicated with council. I would just caution to make sure that if you want to use a different platform to vote, to make sure it's something that can be recorded in the minutes and something that you can verify who's voting how. I know with Discord, sometimes in our board Discord, if it's like to approve messaging, we do like a thumbs up vote. But with that, people can retract votes, people can change their vote. So just ensuring that it's something that once you've cast your vote, that we can verify that it's you. If it's something that's particularly contested, I would strongly recommend to do a roll call vote, in which I know it will be time consuming, but to call on each counselor and ask them how they vote. That is how we do it at the board. It is a little more time consuming, but for the sake of having accuracy in the minutes, I think it's worth it. And then if it's like an online polling, if it's something where like an individual can log in with their SFU ID, that would be, I think, the safest manner to go about it, because I know a lot of online polling things, you can change your name to be whatever, and it would be quite complicated if somebody put down the wrong name. Or I'm not saying that that's something that I believe would happen, but just to caution for the precedent that we may be setting right now.
All right, thank you, Fob. I actually think this is something that we should refer to the governance committee to look over and potentially sort out how we can implement a different system for voting. Obviously, I would not want to go through roll call voting. It's quite tedious. It would take quite a long time. As you can see with our attendance, it takes roughly 20 minutes. But yes, I think this is something that we should refer to the governance committee to bring maybe more discussion and potentially a motion to change our voting procedure. Yes, Helen?
Yes. So just to add on to that as well, when we look into new voting structures and for like elections, for example, we also need to find a platform, I guess, that is flexible in a way. Like I can't think of anything right now, but for instance, when we have elections and we're calling on people to nominate themselves into roles, we need to be able to like have that voting platform in a way where we can just like type in names like, oh, if you want to vote for so-and-so, you know, implement it here. And then if it's contested, you know, we have to have that flexibility as well in terms of voting. Again, I can't think of any platforms right now, but that's just something to keep in mind when we go forward and looking into different voting structures, that it's flexible enough for us to make changes like that during the meeting in real time.
Yeah, definitely. This is a bit of a complicated or complex kind of issue that we need to work on. So obviously this will take more consultation and more work on it. Quince, you wanted to speak?
Yes, to reply on that we need to keep this clear in the minutes. Photos could be taken of the Discord polls, and it will let you list everyone who voted for each option and let you take a photo of that, and perhaps that could be used as part of the minutes and verification.
Potentially, that could be a way we could solve that. Is there any other discussion on this motion, or sorry, on this item? Yes, Helen?
I'm just thinking as well, like, again, just going back to the whole topic about elections and having people nominating themselves, for the sake of being online and doing online voting structures, maybe what we can also consider is doing things in advance. So for example, if we were to appoint someone for a specific position on council or on a committee, For instance, we would have to give that deadline in advance of when, if for example, Zaid, they could approach you, right? Like, hey, I want to appoint myself for this committee. Then you're like, okay, can you do that before a specific date? But then again, I don't know if that's breaching any of our policies or a structure right now. It's just something to think about, that maybe we might have to do things in advance rather than in real time, which is kind of contradictory to what we've been doing in council so far. So yeah, more consultation is definitely needed.
Right. So when it comes to appointing members to, say, board committees or council committees, as of now, since we have already had elections, I believe the way to go forward would be for anyone who is interested in taking one of these vacant seats to bring a motion to the next meeting with their name in it, and then having the rest of the council vote on it, rather than having to do in-person nominations. But definitely there needs to be more discussion on this. This is something that I will bring up when the governance committee meets, and then we will bring back whatever findings we have regarding this to council. Are there any other final words on this topic? Just to note, the governance committees, as well as the oversight committee and the public outreach committee as well, I believe, all have vacant seats for councillors if anyone is interested. If you would like to join these committees, we do need one more member for governance as well as for outreach. If you are interested, please contact me and we can bring a motion to the next meeting. Yeah, that's basically it. We'll now move on to our next item, board committee updates. I'm going to start with this. So basically, I attended the first meeting with the board's governance committee. Essentially, we discussed going over restructuring as well as the bylaw review, which heavily involves council, as discussion is going on regarding solidifying and increasing council's role in the SFSS. Essentially, if you are interested in this and in being more involved in this process and working with the bylaw review, the governance committee has room for more councillors to be appointed, not the board committee, but the council committee, sorry, which will be dealing with the board directly regarding the bylaw review. Also, any other councillors who have attended board committee sessions, please update us on your progress, if any. Helen?
Absolutely. So I can speak to the University of Academic and Affairs Committee, the UAA committee, the one that Gabe is chairing. So I attended that last week or so. And we just started talking about what we want to do and how we want to set up our campaigns. And one of the main topics that we spoke about was COVID-19 and students' accessibility to their education, how their lives have been restructured while going into a remote setting and studying through that way. So basically, we came up with some ideas to start a petition and also just have a survey being pumped out as well, asking questions to students about what's their accessibility like for their internet, in terms of their expenses as well. We're kind of formulating a survey at this time to send out to students and just pump out some data, and then also create a petition as well to gain students' signatures and student voices on how they feel on the issue, and then just move that forward into the university level from there. But that's just the starting point of everything. And then we're going to have our next UAA committee meeting in the next few weeks or so. I have to check on the dates again, but we're all in the process of doing that right now.
All right, thank you, Helen. Are there any other counselors who are on board committees that would like to speak? Are there any questions or comments on this topic? Yes, Victor?
Yeah, hi. So I attended the BIPOC committee yesterday. It was mostly just like an update from the anti-racism working group that did some strategic planning. So a few of the action items that they're doing are they're working on banning police recruiting on campus, banning police presence on campus, changing the name of the sports team. There's also a petition to remove the Gandhi statue. At SFU, I believe there's 2 of them, as Gandhi was anti-Black, had like a lot of anti-Black views. So there's a petition to remove that. I can drop the link in the chat in a second. I just need to find it. And then we also went through applications to add more students to the working group. And that's all my updates.
All right, thank you, Victor. Are there any further comments or updates? Any questions on this topic? I'm thinking that when we have reports from the board of directors, we should also have updates coming from board committees, so on a 1-month basis, just to see what's going on, what counselors are involved in. Helen?
Yeah, just to add on to that as well, what you're saying, Zaid, if the chairs for any appointed counselors that have been appointed to board committees, if your respective chairs of those committees have not contacted you whatsoever, please just let myself know or Zaid know as well. You can send an email to us, contact us on Discord. Just let us know so then we can reach out to your respective chairs and get you on board and rolling into your committees.
Thank you, Helen. Any further comments? All right, seeing none, we'll now move on to our final discussion item, police presence on campus. Thank you, Corbett, for attending. So essentially, the board is in current discussions with career services regarding having RCMP recruiters blocked from coming to career fairs, as well as discussions surrounding reducing police presence on campus. This was discussed at the last board meeting. I think that it's important that the council discusses this and advises the board when making this decision. If any councillors or board members would like to comment or add anything, please add yourselves to the speakers list. Yes, Quint?
I'm sure board has a reason for considering this. Can we please hear what the reasons are?
In response to this question, I'll let Asab speak first and then Helen. Asab?
Yeah, thank you, Zaid, and thank you, Quint. And just to clarify, is it that just a general explanation as to why we've essentially taken this initiative on? Sure. So a couple of weeks ago, we did put out a letter to the student body in general, in that we supported the Black Lives Matter movement. It was in support and in solidarity with the Black and Indigenous students on campus who have been victims of police violence or who continue to be disproportionately targeted by the police. As a part of that letter, we did also speak on our calls to support the defunding of the police and the RCMP in Canada, particularly around the SFU community. So with some of our initiatives to ensure the safety of students overall, and to ensure the safety and the comfort of Black and Indigenous students and people of color on our campus who are disproportionately targeted by the police, we wanted to, sorry, I had a sticker over my camera. We wanted to have discussions with the university to see how we can essentially rethink our connections with the police and the RCMP. And one of the ways that we found was particularly aggressive was that police and RCMP have been allowed to recruit on campus. They've been able to recruit students to join them. They come on for different career events, particularly put on by some departments such as criminology. And something that really stood out last year was that there was a protest when the police were on campus during the last clubs days, particularly in response to the RCMP, their excessive violence towards the Indigenous people and the land protectors, and everything that was that continues to go on with Wet'suwet'en and that we've stood in solidarity with previously. So the next step that made sense to the board of directors was to have conversations with the university about limiting police presence on campus. I recognize that the defunding the police and looking into different policing alternatives such as community support and reallocating funds into areas such as healthcare and education is going to be a longer struggle than anything. But for us, our main and our number one priority is the safety and the comfort of our students. And students a lot of students do not feel safe with the police on campus. There's no reason for them to need to be there. There are other ways that the police can recruit individuals, particularly coming onto campus and recruiting students who are in precarious financial positions and who may really need a job. Also, I think is predatory in some ways. Those are my own personal views, not the views of the board necessarily, but the view of the board in general is that we support the defunding of the police. And that starts by rethinking where we feel the police needs to be active and present.
Thank you, Asab. Helen?
Thank you. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So my comment was just kind of what Quince was saying, just asking the board for more detail on their views on this. So thank you, Asab, for just giving us a rundown of it. It's very hard to say, coming from a personal standpoint, because I can see where you are all coming from in light of the politics that are out there today, especially in terms of BIPOC communities and representing persons of color. I completely understand and get it. My only concern is regarding students that are vying for a role, wanting to work in police enforcement, like our criminology students. This is where I see that there's tension, and you mentioned, Asab, like there's other ways of recruitment. You are rethinking your connections with the RCMP through the university. So for me, before I can even really go more into opinions on this, what the council needs to see is more thought and explanation on paper. You know, we need to read through everything and read your thoughts and see all the resources that you are providing to us regarding why you are justifying this. I'm not saying it's a bad justification. I'm not saying it's a good justification. I'm just thinking about our crim students and any other student that wants a job with the RCMP or with the police. So if there's a way for you to put this down on paper for all of us to read, then maybe we can have more fruitful discussions and fruitful opinions on where we can move forward in this. Because for me, it's crim students that I'm mostly concerned about. And yeah, I think Eva also wanted to say something too. So, but I don't think her mic is working. So hopefully she can provide an opinion if so. But that's where I'm coming from right now at this point.
Thank you, Helen. Just let me look through the list here. Roland, you're up next.
Sure. So continuing on some of these, I guess, almost points of information, does the board have any actual data that suggests removing police and security would actually improve the general lives of all students? Do you have any sort of historical records or data from other schools or anything that suggests removal of RCMP and police and security either improves people, BIPOC people, the entire student body, removing job opportunities and connections? I feel like we're really lacking hard data to move forward with any sort of useful connections here.
Thank you, Roland. Next up is Quince, I believe. You have the floor.
Hi, yes. In your comments on why and explaining why, you mentioned to ensure the safety of students. Have we been having reports of police violence against or aggression from police against students while they're here on campus?
Thank you for that question, Quince. Just looking down through the chat here. Everyone make sure to read Eva's response here since her mic is not working. Would everyone be okay with me reading this out? Eva, would you like me to read this out, or do you think it's okay to just leave it in the chat? All right, I'll read it out. So this is from Eva's perspective. She sees this issue from two perspectives, being a racialized person and a strong supporter of anti-racist movements and defunding the police. She understands how having officers on campus can be damaging to many students. But from the perspective of a criminology student, there are many individuals who do want to pursue a career in policing. How do we, how will the CSA go about handling this in a way that protects students while also providing career opportunities for other students? Just going down the list again. Steve Alvin is next.
Hello. Just a inquiry actually. So, for some context, I believe 2 years ago, there was an incident with a student that took an exam and unfortunately passed away. And that caused movement for us to call emergency services first versus actual campus security. And then a result of that, I think it was last year where we had a gun threat in the SFU library in which we called the police first versus campus security. So I was wondering how this decision from the board would affect emergency services. And if we could, I agree with Helen in the part that we need more information on paper to discuss this further.
All right, thank you, Alvin. Serena?
In my opinion, I see where the board is coming from. The RCMP, it's really not about like individual acts of violence or physical violence even against students that are at SFU, but it's about their presence and what their presence means to Indigenous people who are fighting for their land, protecting their land, for Black students who are regularly discriminated against at the hands of police and brutalized. And we've seen what happened with the recent acts, both south of the border and here. I also believe that as survivors of violence and disabled people as well, there's a lot of re-traumatization in the presence of police. And yeah, it's a kind of tough thing to talk about, but I understand where the board's coming from, and it can actively harm people even if you don't see an explicit form of violence against a student. It is still harming students.
Thank you, Serena. It's definitely a difficult topic to speak about, but I do believe this is something that we should discuss in order to have the board make an informed decision. Next up on the list is Helen.
Honestly, I can't remember what I was going to say. Actually, no, now I remember. I was actually wanting to just ask if I could read Eva's comment, but you already did the job, Zaid, so it's all good. You can strike me off the list.
All right, thank you, Helen. Is there any further discussion on this item? Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that, guys. I didn't know what the 2 stars meant, so I assumed that it was as earlier. Sorry about that. Who should we go with first? Balkis, would you like to speak?
Sure, my bad. Double star is what we use for direct response. I forgot to clarify. But yeah, I just wanted to say there was a question that came up about have there been reports or incidences of police violence on campus? And firstly, no formal reports, but they do happen. I've witnessed them, and plenty of cases have gone to SILCA, students of Caribbean and African ancestry, unfortunately, and people are generally, just Black and Indigenous students particularly, are very uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, unsafe. They're unsafe around police and RCMP. And what happens at SFU, it's not a vacuum. It's not like totally removed from the rest of the world. Like everything is reflected on campus. And the reality is that it's triggering and traumatizing. And there definitely have been cases of security and police abusing power right on SFU campus. Unfortunately, SFU doesn't collect this race-based data, which we do want to advocate for. But that's, yeah, so to ask for data that doesn't exist is already part of systemic discrimination, is that the data isn't being collected. So a lot of folks have is anecdotal evidence. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Please, Musab also had something she wanted to say.
Yeah, and I know a couple of counselors brought up a couple of different things, so I can address them. To address Helen's question about having more information, I believe someone did link our statement in the chat, so I really encourage folks, if you haven't had a chance to read that over, please do. We did also link a number of resources and articles that go into more detail than I think we can get into in this meeting. Stuff about street checks, stuff about racial disparity in policing, and these are some of those data pieces that have not really been made available in a university setting in particular. But I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that racialized communities are over-policed, and that often leads to an uptick in police violence, arrests. It's a lot bigger of an issue than as a board we could ever deal with. But the areas that we see that we can make impact are on our campus communities. And again, I know that the Criminology Student Association has held their own events before. That's not something that we are necessarily talking about right now. That's not the area, I guess, of our concern at the moment. Our area of concern more so is with regard to career fairs and career days. And that's a time where, you know, the entire student body is out here and walking around and, you know, trying to see what their different career prospects are. And it can be triggering to people who have been victims of police violence, whose families, whose peers, whose friends, who people who look like them have been victims of police violence. So I think that's a pretty well-known fact. I mean, if it's never happened to you in particular, like, that is really great. And I'm very, very happy to hear that. But for a lot of other students, that is unfortunately not the reality. And then in terms of the board, we've already had this discussion. We've had it at a board meeting before, and it's something that we've solidified via statements. Of course, if council feels differently, it is your democratic right to, you know, have a discussion as council. So I'm very cognizant. I don't want to take up your time or try to assert my views on anyone in the council here. This is just me trying to explain how the board came to that decision in particular. But so right now our stance with regard to police presence on campus remains the same, and we will continue to advocate for the discontinued presence of the police in the RCMP at career fairs.
Thank you, Asab. Quint?
Hi, Balkis. You mentioned that SOCA had gotten these reports before. I was wondering if SOCA collects and has data on those reports of police violence or aggression against students while on campus.
May I respond?
Yep.
So I recommend, I guess, just contacting SOCA directly about that, as I would not have that on me. But another thing to be cognizant of, though, is safety concerns and privacy concerns as well. So yeah, that's all. And like I say, privacy concerns as in people don't want to necessarily put their names out there, because that's also putting a target on their back too.
Helen?
Thank you. So again, I just want to reiterate that everyone in this meeting knows about the politics that are happening out there and how abhorrent it is towards our BIPOC community and, you know, our friends within those communities. But still coming from a perspective for students a part of the CSA, Criminology Student Association. I want to ask the board, in what ways, at this point, from whatever ways you have right now or methods that you might be suggesting, what ways are you guys trying to rethink your connections with the RCMP? Like in terms of like making sure our criminology students or any other student that wants a career with the police in the future, what ways are you doing it? Are you doing this right now to still have an open line of employer connections with them while still trying to maintain protecting our BIPOC community? Do you have any methods or ideas in mind right now that you would want to share with council at this point?
Are there any board members who'd like to speak on this, Saab?
Yeah, I can say in terms of students who desire to work with the RCMP, to work with the police, of course, that's their prerogative, and we have nothing to say about that in particular. However, for criminology students and other students who do want to work for the RCMP, I believe that there is an RCMP unit very close to SFU. There's the other job postings and places where you can attend workshops, you can attend different career fairs that are not tied to the university. Our concern is more so about the safety of the university students and what happens on SFU grounds. What happens outside of SFU, I think, is up to the students. Again, if the Criminology Student Association wants to host an event, that's a different situation where we could have discussions with the CSA. But as of right now, for career fairs that are sponsored just by the university and they are the ones who are bringing folks in, that is a bit of a different story. So at the end of the day, students have the freedom to seek whatever career paths that they want. But at the very base of our call to defund the police, part of that is making the police obsolete through stronger community engagements, by making community stronger, which I'm hoping will negate the need for students to even go into policing in the first place. But that's a much longer conversation for much further long way down the road. That's not going to happen anytime soon. But those are essentially our goals.
Thank you. Saab, is there any further discussion on this item? Are there any comments? Would anyone like to voice their opinion on this? Yes, Roland?
So one of the points that was brought up previously was that people who had experienced violence were possibly receiving some sort of PTSD or being triggered when RCMP was on campus for job fairs and whatnot. And I don't want to make light of that. But also at the same time, there are a lot of companies that do a lot of shady things. You can talk about financial institutions who have driven people out of their homes into poverty because of their systems. You can talk about, companies who use functionally slave labor. You can talk about all sorts of government interference. And so I'm wondering, at what point is the board looking to draw the line? You are drawing the line here at RCMP, but maybe not the financial institutions, maybe not, government-backed systems. Like, I just want to understand. I don't want to suggest that it's an all or nothing thing. I just want to see why the board feels just RCMP and the triggering that comes from that, as opposed to other students who are being disenfranchised by other sort of institutions.
Thank you, Roland. Balkis?
Yeah, so I think where the board is coming from, you're right. It's not an all or nothing deal. We, as a student society, really need to do what we can and what's within our capacity. And something like limiting police presence on campus is super doable. If de-escalation services are needed, that does exist. It doesn't have to come with police, because we already know. You reference specifically PTSD and students with like direct violence, but it really does extend to particularly Black and Indigenous communities as a whole. And it's not, who's almost everyone knows someone who's been like really, really had a terrible experience with police. And it's just, it's a part of systemic violence. So yeah, it would be pretty hypocritical of us to ignore this, especially considering students have been vocal about it. It's about people's lives and people's safety here, especially the ones who are most targeted and discriminated against. It's not politics. It's just livelihood here.
Thank you, Balkis. Would anyone else like to speak? All right. So seeing no more discussion on this item, we'll now move on. We have announcements. Our next meeting is going to be on August 5th. There's also an announcement from the VP Finance, Corbett. Essentially, just want to remind everyone that the end date for submitting a core donation is August 1st for your DSUs. If any student unions or constituency groups need more time due to meeting issues, please let Anna Riva know. And if you're able to, please contact her. And that wraps up our meeting today. We're now on to adjournment. Be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 5:49 p.m. Does anyone move this motion?
Software Systems moves this motion.
Software System moves. Helen, would you like to second?
I would like to second, yes, please.
Yes, that's you. Seconds. Seeing no discussion, we'll move to vote on this motion. Seek unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending today, and I'll see you all August 5th. Council committee members, please do be aware you will be receiving an email within the next few days regarding council committee meetings. We'll hopefully be meeting sometime next week. Yep, that's all. Thank you guys.
Thank you for the meeting.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Oh, that was interesting.
That was. Oh, don't forget to stop recording.
How do I turn off the recording? Oh, there we go.